Welcome to Football with Cheese. In this video, we continue the offseason recaps. We're doing the NFC West. So this one's all about the Los Angeles Rams. If you have not, please subscribe and hit the bell for notification so you never miss a video. So the Rams finished 10-7 last year, won the division. They actually tied Seattle, but won the tiebreak. They started 1-4. It was a horrible start to the season. They actually almost beat Detroit in Detroit to start the year. They lost in overtime, and then it was pretty much a disaster the next month after that. So they finished, 9-3 in their last 12 games, so they were better than their 10-7 record. And they almost beat the Eagles in the divisional round. If you remember that game, it was so much snow on the field. Jalen Carter got back-to-back pressures on Matthew Stafford. They didn't double team him. I don't understand why, but the Rams had a chance to get a touchdown, extra point. They would have taken the lead and won. It was the only game in the playoffs where the Eagles had any chance to lose. They pretty much dominated the other three games. So the Rams were very good. I think they were one of the best 5 teams in the NFL entering this year. More on that in a bit. They did release Cooper Kupp in the offseason. I think a lot of people in the media will focus on that. Oh, they might not be as good. They don't have Cooper Kupp. However, Cooper Kupp has missed 5 games, and 7 games the past 3 years. He has trouble staying healthy. In 2021, he had one of the best years, maybe the best year receivers ever had. He had 145 catches for 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. The 145 catches was second all time to Michael Thomas of the Saints, and the yards is second all time to Calvin Johnson of the Lions. So, in a season. That's how good he was. But he's just not that player anymore. And the Rams had a plan. They wanted to improve the offense, and they wanted players that could stay on the field. So they released Kupp. They did add Davante Adams. More on that in a second. The strangest thing about the Rams offseason is they were allegedly shopping Matthew Stafford. Maybe they thought he's only going to play one more year. Let's just try to get some draft picks for him. Maybe someone will give us a first-round pick. I don't know. Didn't make any sense because the Rams have a roster ready to win right now. Why not run it back and try to win a Super Bowl next year? They were close to beating the Super Bowl champions in the playoffs last year on the road in snow. So, didn't make much sense. Allegedly, Stafford turned down more money from, I think it was the Giants and one other team to stay with the Rams. Makes sense. The other teams involved weren't ready to compete for a Super Bowl. So I think Stafford plays 1 or 2 more years. They signed, obviously, Davante Adams to replace Kupp. Davante Adams did miss, I think, 3 games last year, but in the previous 3 years before that, he missed 1 game total. So he is more reliable. He stays on the field, and I think he's a better fit right now for what the Rams have. So Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are both better in the slot, in my opinion. And Davante Adams is an outside receiver all the way. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's still a top 10, top 15 player at the position. He's not the best receiver in the NFL anymore. He's not Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. He's not on that level. But he's still very good. And he's just a good fit for their offense. And they signed Poona Ford, nose tackle from the Chargers, to get a run stopper in there. They already have a really good defensive line. It's one of the strengths of their team. But they could use a run defender. I love that pickup. Poona Ford's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. So I really like what the Rams did in free agency. In the draft, I like the move back in the second round to get the Falcons' first-round pick next year. Let's talk about that. So knowing that Stafford might play 1 or 2 more years and knowing that next year should be a really good quarterback class, they have 2 first-round picks. I don't think the Falcons' pick's going to be a top 10. Falcons could make the playoffs next year. So probably not going to be high picks. You never know. But still, it gives you ammunition to move up for a quarterback if you want to do that. So I love that move. They moved back to pick 46, and they took Terrence Ferguson, tight end, Oregon. So the Rams didn't have many holes on offense last year. We've talked about this. If you have 1 or 2 positions that are really bad, like your center's really bad or your tight end's really bad, teams can exploit that. You want to have very few weaknesses. The Eagles had very few weaknesses last year. The Chiefs had some star players, but they had a couple really weak spots on the offensive line that got exploited in the Super Bowl. So What the Rams were thinking was, Tyler Higbee only played 3 games last year. He didn't stay healthy. That's their starting tight end. He's always been a solid player, maybe above average. He's never been a great player. So why not upgrade the tight end position? They already have a good offensive line. They've got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Get Kyron Williams at running back. Let's get a tight end there. Let's upgrade Tyler Higbee. Now, Terrence Ferguson, I would have taken Elijah Arroyo over Ferguson at pick 46. Elijah Arroyo went to the Seahawks 4 picks later. But Arroyo has injury concerns, and Ferguson doesn't. The biggest issue with Ferguson is he had some bad drops, in my opinion, and Arroyo's just a better route runner. But Ferguson is a good fit for the system. He's very athletic, and after Arroyo was taken, there were 5 tight ends in this class, and there was a huge drop-off, assuming Harold Fannin Jr. is a fullback, which I consider him a fullback. So I understand why they did it. They really don't have a hole on the offense now. Everyone's at least above average, in my opinion. So that's the only real starter they got in the draft. As far as undrafted free agent, they signed Willie Lampkin, offensive lineman from UNC. If you don't know who he is, he's about 5'10", 270 pounds, which is really, really small for an offensive lineman. That was small for an offensive lineman in the 80s. So that's why he was not drafted, but he is so good. If you watch the film, I was watching a Marion Hampton film, when I was doing my running back rankings, and Willie Lampkin was just dominating most games. He's just a stud. And I'm surprised that someone at least didn't use a 7th round pick on him, because you can use him as your 6th offensive lineman. You can play him at fullback. 5'10", 270, I might even ask him to slim down to 255, 260 and make him a fullback. So I think he's going to make the team. I don't care his size. He's just such a great player. Important players. This is pretty obvious. Matthew Stafford, we talked about at the quarterback. He's a veteran. He's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. Just really good. Not elite, but just really good every year. Puka Nacua, one of the best receivers in the NFL. And then you add Devontae Adams. That's such a good tandem. Kyron Williams, running back. One of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. No one talks about this, but Kevin Dotson, he's one of the best run-blocking right guards. He's been outstanding for them in the last 2 years. The Rams really have an underrated offensive line. Center and left guard, maybe just average, above average, but the tackles and Dotson are just really good. And you got to talk about Jared Verse, defensive end. He was their 1st-round pick last year. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has one of the best power moves in the NFL. So those are their most important players. The most questionable thing I have with the Rams is the back 7. The defensive line is elite. It's young. It's deep. The off-ball linebackers and cornerbacks are below average. They're not very good. The safeties are pretty solid. I'd say above average. But corner and off-ball linebacker, they're going to have to play a lot of zone. I think the Rams don't value those positions as much. A lot of teams don't, off-ball linebacker and corner. And they're going to play a lot of zone, and we're just going to be so good on the defensive line. We're going to be deep. We're going to create pressure, and that will mask our weaknesses there. But that can be a problem in some games if they do not get pressure. But the defensive line is so deep. You have Jared Verse, you have Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner, Byron Young. They added Josiah Stewart in the draft. Just really athletic and deep on the defensive line. And Poona Ford in free agency, mentioned him earlier. So breakout player, just mentioned him, Braden Fisk. He was a defensive tackle for Florida State, 2nd round pick last year. They traded up to get him in the 2nd round, gave up a lot. He is really athletic. Some people thought he'd go in the 1st round, but he has really short arms for a defensive tackle. I think that's why he fell. He had an up and down rookie year. You saw some games where like, wow, this guy could be a disruptor. Other games he kind of disappeared. Never going to be a great run defender. But offensive lineman, defensive lineman, usually it's a year 2 breakout. You have a whole offseason, getting in the weight room. I think he's going to be one of the better interior pass rushers in the NFL this year. So what do you think of the Rams? Comment down below. Do you think they're the best team in the division? I do. I can tell you right now, when I do my division previews, I'm going to have the Rams in 1st place. If you have not subscribed, please do so now. Enable alerts so you never miss a video. If you enjoyed this, please give a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Share this with anyone who loves football so we can grow football with cheese. Check these out if you have not, and I'll see you in the next video.